Hello, I am Dr. John Vanderslice, and I'm leading you through a series of videos about the essentials of writing good fiction. And today we're going to talk about developing characters, which of course is crucial. Many of you have probably had the experience of reading a book, reading a story, maybe watching a movie, watching a show in which things are going well, but there's a character there that you can't believe that character. Or that character seems like too much of a cliche, a type. And what you might say to yourself is, I don't think the writer worked hard enough to make that character real. And sometimes it can be enough to completely make you give up on whether it's a book or a story or a film. You can't finally commit to it. You have to buy into the characters. You have to care about the characters. You have to believe the characters. You have to seem like actual people to you, or you almost can't trust what the story is doing. And I think that's a good instinct. And a lot of writers will tell you that all stories effectively come out of characters. We can and will talk about plotting with these videos, but I feel like plot comes directly out of the characters you create. Characters are pretty much the first thing that you have to get right as a writer. So what we're going to do today is an exercise, and I'm going to suggest to you that is intended to help you move past those types that we may fall back on in our imagination, our fiction writing mind, and try to create characters that seem more unique, more like actual individuals, seem like someone that you possibly could encounter on the street or at your workplace or at the library. And you can believe them. You can believe that character because no one else is exactly like that character. So, what the exercise entails is that you first have to start from a physical object. For instance, I have some visual aids for you. Go around your house. This is what I do. Go around your house. See what interesting things are just lying around your house, or maybe not even that interesting. A stapler, for instance. Here, a perfectly good object. I have a candle. It is a green tea lavender candle. It smells wonderful still. Most are gone, but it's there. Let's see. A little yellow VW bug with a Christmas tree on the top. It's a decoration we got somewhere. I don't know where. Just to give you Sharpie. Sharpie is excellent. Interesting textures and smell of Sharpie. Nail file, just any random gathering of objects in your home would work, or any one object. So what do you do with this object, and what's the point of this? Well, the first thing I would suggest you do, and I would make you do if I was leading a class or a workshop, for instance, is I would ask that you describe the object in as much concrete detail as you can. For instance, there's obviously the sense of sight. Okay, what does the object look like? And if you choose any object and you start looking at it carefully, there's going to be a lot to say about what it looks like. Let's look at Sharpie. There's the not only the red and white colors, but exactly how they are laid out, and the fact that there's these much smaller letters on the side and the larger lettering of the brand name there. You can describe the top of it, how it looks, the bottom of it, how it looks. That's just the sense of sight. There's also the sense of touch. Every single object is going to have certain feels to it. So as you do this exercise, actually feel the object. What does it feel like you? How does it feel to your fingers? As you're feeling what's the object shaped like? Is there any information coming to you that way? This creeps some people out with a sense of smell. Our sense of smell is a very sharp smell. Now, Sharpie, that has got quite the Sharpie, quite the acrid kind of particular Sharpie smell to it. Describe what the object smells like. And if there's any particular sound, some objects have, like you shake them, maybe there's a rattle inside, something rolling around. Exhaust all the possibilities. Spend as much time as you can just describing the physical characteristics of this object. Okay, when you've got all that written down, this could take you quite a while. And if you really are very careful and attentive about describing, it could take you several minutes, 15, 20 minutes, to really write down everything about the object that's worth noting, or you can note. So what do you do with that information? What is the point? Well, the next thing, I'm in red. Let's go back to the slide. Is turn those particular physical characteristics into a person. I'm running out. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, there's obvious there's the physical appearance of someone. Like what do the characteristics of a red and white Sharpie? What if you transfer them to a human being? What would that mean in terms of their appearance? Literally, specifically. How imagine, let me write this on the board too. Put down some basic, what I tell people to do with this exercise is put down some basic character information directly drawn from the object. That could be age. That could be a job. That could be obviously someone's name. It could be their gender affiliation. Basic structural things about someone's life. But then finally, what they are as a person. What is their personality like? Anything you might want to say about it. And you can, when you start writing about this and thinking about it and drawing directly from the object, you'll find that suggests a lot of really interesting aspects to someone's character that maybe you wouldn't have automatically thought about. All sorts of contradictions, perhaps, or inner lives that no one else will know about except for you, the writer. So write for a long time about who this character is, and again, make sure it's drawn directly from the physical object. Make some direct connection there. Don't just fall back on kinds of characters you normally write. And what I find really rewarding about this exercise is that when I finally ask a group of people, okay, tell me about the character you came up with here. Inevitably, they're really very shaded and nuanced and interesting individuals. They're not people you automatically would think off the top of your head, like, oh, this kind of person. They're just the physical appearance is often very interesting and original. But what's even more brilliant is how there's a depth of personality that comes through by trying to think through different physical characteristics of the object and transposing them onto a living person. And it's not that there's a reason for it. It's not coincidence, it's not accidental. And the reason for that is that objects are all individually unique. There's not, an object can't be a cliche because it exists. It has proportions. It's an actual item. It's not a type. It is itself. And objects that might seem similar, when you start looking at them, are actually quite different. I had an exercise years ago when I was teaching a composition class where students would choose a potato from the sack of potato garden. And they would each describe their potato very vigilantly. And then they would trade off descriptions. And the student who read their description would have to go to the front room and pick out the right potato. And you'd be amazed how often they were able to do that. And the reason is, when you look at an object very carefully, its qualities become very clear to you. It's no longer just a kind of potato, it is that particular one. And people are exactly the same way. People are not types. People are individuals. There isn't just the football coach. There is not just the preacher. There is not just the librarian. Individual preachers, librarians, football coaches are going to be different one from the other as much as anybody else's. You just have to look at them carefully and long enough to bring out those qualities. And this exercise forces you to do so because you're putting aside types and just looking at a specific object. So look at your characters as specifically as that and with as much attention as that. And you will find yourself very quickly not falling back on the easy kind of characterization that you probably derived from something else, maybe from a film you watched or a book you read a long time ago, or just maybe even a bias you have. You'll put those aside and actually create people that live on the page as fully unique people. And that's true, that should be true for your minor characters as well as your major ones. I think you'll find as you read more and more stories that the writers that really stand out, one of the reasons is that even their minor characters grab your attention and hold your attention and seem like actual people, not just names on the page, not just items being inserted for a purpose. They seem like actual people. So put this much attention into all your characters, major or minor, make them as real as objects.